Hello, fellow translators. Today I'm going to talk to you about how fast you can type. And that means words per minute, words per hour, words per day, whatever it means, but as pertains to translation and to being a translator. Because not only I get this question quite often, but it gets talked about pretty often, by clients, by translators, etc., etc. And, ways to type more quickly, to translate more quickly so you can get more done. And by and large, it's true. However, I kind of wanted to address it in a way because it isn't necessarily true all the time that if you can type more quickly, you can get more done. And I wanted to talk about why that is. So, well, first of all, let's start with a very personal example, as in me, and how I personally do it and how I personally translate. Because when I translate, I can translate pretty quickly. I can probably cover, in 2 hours, I can probably translate around 3,000 words. If I'm there in the zone getting work done, I can probably do that. So what does this mean? This doesn't mean that if I work, say, 8-hour days and I can do 3,000 words in 2 hours, so within 8 hours I can complete whatever the math is there. Math isn't my strong point. No, it's 3, 3, 3, 3, so 12,000 words. I absolutely cannot do 12,000 words a day. I'm never going to tell a client that I can do 12,000 words a day. In fact, usually the maximum I give is about 2,000 words. Now you might think, well, 2,000 words, but that's, less than what you can do in 2 hours. And that's true. However, there's a huge caveat there. And the thing is, so I'll translate those words. But what I'll do is I'll get in the zone and I'll translate. But then once I'm done translating, once I'm done with those 2 hours of being in the zone, mentally I'm spent. Like I'm just really tired. So usually I have to switch after that. And I already know this for my schedule because I've been doing it for a while. I'll allot myself certain times, say 2 hours to do these translations. If I have a huge translation, I'll have 2 hours of translation and then I take a break. It means either eat something, run errands, or handle some admin stuff, whatever it might be, depending how it fits my schedule. Usually that means doing work stuff still, but stuff I don't need to use my brain for too much or something like that. Anyway, and then later on in the day, once I've relaxed, usually after lunch or something like that, and I feel more freshened up and ready to go again, then I'm going to look over. I'm not going to start translating the next part. Well, it depends on the translation, everything itself. But let's say this translation that I'm working on is 3,000 words. What I'm going to do is, or in fact, let's say 6,000 words. Usually, it still depends. But in this example, let's say I'm going to go back and I'm going to review everything that I've translated. And the fact is, no matter what I do, I have to go back and review what I've done. And so even if I decide later to continue on with the translation and the other part, that means that tomorrow I need to spend the whole day basically going over and looking over everything I've done. And so it isn't, and by the way, my second 2 hour slot, I'm not going to get 3,000 words done. I know that for a fact. That needs to be for the next day. So a couple things there. First of all, yeah, as you can see, in 2 hours, I can get 3,000 words done, but that's the first 2 hours. After that, even after taking a break, I can probably get 1,000 to 2,000 words done in the next 2 hour slot, but definitely not 3,000 words. And, because it slows down after a while. It's later on during the day, and, I had a very intensive morning. But if I go back and look over everything that I've done, then I know the translation is ready. Only after that do I know the translation is ready. Because when I'm in the zone doing translation, it's, difficult. Because I'm reading everything in Italian and then translating into English. But my brain many times still works in the Italian way. And so sometimes the English sounds a bit disjointed. And so I have to revisit it. And not only that, but I actually don't trust any translator who doesn't have to do that. This might sound like I'm generalizing a bit too much, but that's the case. Just from what I've seen, every translator needs to do that. They need to go back and look over their work after they've done it, just to make it perfect. That's just the case for me. We're not interpreters. If you're interpreters, you can think on your feet, but on the other hand, when you talk, you can kind of make things work in your way. You don't have to always be exact, especially with certain metaphors or similes or stuff like that, because it's very hard to translate those. But when you're translating, you need to do a very good job, and everything needs to be precise. Obviously, this also will depend on what your field is, but I'm finance and legal, so I don't get away from that. And I really feel, and that's why when I work with other translators, also in finance and legal, because that's what we do, I expect them to look over their work. And you can usually really tell when people don't do that. And so it's something that I have to do. So when I say that I can translate 3,000 words in 2 hours, it's absolutely true. However, I would never only allot that time for a translation, and I would definitely never say that means I can do 6,000 words in 4 hours. So why do I bring all of this up? First of all, because I think it's important for you to know not only how much you can get done there, but how much this carries on for the long term and the quality of the translation that you have after that. And it's also important to keep in mind when clients say they need 10,000 words done by tomorrow, or even 5,000 words done by tomorrow. Maybe you can do that, but you probably can't, at least not of the right quality. And that's another thing. If any translator tells me they can do more than 3,000 words a day, I get very, very iffy about it because I don't see it. I mean, it definitely happens, but it's so rare that I have to have it proven to me by a translator. They have to do it for me first, and I have to see it to believe it, because many people say they can do it, but I've only seen it actually done with a good translation so seldom that it really is rare, and so I don't trust it when people say they can do it. And so anyway, I think this is very important when you're trying to measure your speed and see how quickly you can get translations done and trying to factor that into your equation. If you, in 2 hours, are able to translate X amount, don't just automatically say, okay, good, that's what I can do for the rest of the day, and so I'm going to say that I can do 10,000 words a day, because it's not going to work that way. Unfortunately, you need to go through the whole day, and you also need to see what type of translation you spit out and calculate from the beginning to the very end. Because I have to review my work, so technically, even though I translated those 3,000 words, I need to count the review time when I'm telling a client how long it's going to take at the end of the day. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. And these are just things to keep in mind as a translator when you're calculating your words per hour. Usually it's words per hour or per day or something along those lines. We usually don't care too much about words per minute unless it's very specific industries or jobs or stuff like that. But anyway, hopefully you find this useful. Feel free to let me know what your experience is with this, and feel free to let me know if you think I'm totally wrong about this, but I don't think I am. And that's why I said, even working with other translators, that's kind of what I expect. But yeah, otherwise, I will talk to you in the next video. Okay, thanks. Bye. Savedum.